There is a light up in the sky. Betty and Bonnie get high.
Hello and welcome to Close Encounters TV, the weirdest show anywhere in the digital, analog, metaphysical world, where we talk about UFOs, paranormal, cryptids, the Anunnaki, the end of the world, and tonight we'll be talking about crop circles and UFOs and the links between them. That's tonight's episode. What are your thoughts, Guy?
Crop circles really interest me, and there's lots going on from where I live. So like Wiltshire, so recently went to visit one.
Wow.
And yeah, it's interesting, really interesting.
Right, yeah.
I mean, one of the main things, so thing is, you kind of like half believe, unlike some of the other things like that we've talked about in this show, like crop circles are the one thing that you think maybe are fake. But some weird stuff happened when I was in the crop circle, so you could see the birds flying over and they'd fly around it.
Oh, okay.
Which was, I thought that was odd. That made me think that there's some energy thing going on from I mean, there are fakes, I'm sure they're fakes.
Right, yeah, a lot of them are, yeah. Definitely.
But that one, it felt genuine, and there was a kind of a vibe going on a little bit.
Right, yeah.
Not that you, I mean, we went there probably like a week and a half after it was done, but coming out from it, not when you were in, you didn't notice it, but coming out, you did definitely feel slightly different. So
sure,
yeah.
And why are they always in Wiltshire, that area? I know there's some other counties near there as well. Why do crop circles appear there?
I mean, Wiltshire, you know, it's Warminster's in Wiltshire. It's like a UFO sort of like traditional, hot spot, isn't it?
Sure. And we will be talking with crop circle and UFO researcher Luke Yorkshire at Interstellar Discussion in this show. He's been doing some great research, getting some great analytics and data about the crop circles from 2025, which he's done amazing work. So that'll be interesting to chat with him. I think crop circles, a lot of them are faked, but there are some that are not. And there's chemical, physical changes to the actual crop. That there's a doctor called Eltjo Hasselhoff, Dutch scientist, who's looked into this and he's done chemical analysis on crop circles, and has found that the way the stems are changed basically by some extreme heat event can't be done easily by hoaxing. And that's not all of them, that's some of them. So there's definitely something to it. And also people report orbs of light being around these. There's a couple of famous videos. We'll put them in the show. And also I've got a great video that was sent to me by a crop circle researcher called Colin Andrews. Colin was researching crop circles 80s, 90s, and he was actually doing work for the Thatcher government. He was preparing scientific reports, got all the data, and Margaret Thatcher and the government were extremely interested in these results. And when he presented the data, they said, yeah, that's great. And then they shut him down. They censored him. He had to take stuff off his website. It's criminal what happened to him because he got too close to the truth. But I'm going to release that truth. I don't care. He deserves better.
Yeah.
He was a proper researcher. He's still around now. He's getting on a bit. Wouldn't mind me saying that. But he deserves more credit for his findings. There was definitely something anomalous about a lot of crop circles, especially in the Wiltshire area. And he was the chap in my film, The King of UFOs. He was the one that told me about the story where he was with a Japanese film crew in Wiltshire. I think it was named Milk Hill. And they were basically watching a crop circle being formed, and the Japanese film crew were filming these orbs of light around this crop circle. And the Queen got word of this, and this Rolls Royce turned up in the middle of the night, and he expected the Queen to get out. It wasn't the Queen, but it was their scientific advisor. So, the Queen and Prince Philip were massively into crop circles, and John Hanson told us that and showed us all the letters, and that's true. So they were taking it seriously.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So is that one of the theories of how they're formed? Because I've always wondered this. Is it like a UFO and the kind of like blast, like energy from the UFO, or is it orbs?
I think it's more orbs. I think what these orbs are and where they come from, who controls them, we do not know. I mean, the skeptical part of me regarding the orbs creating UFOs think, well, most of them are Wiltshire, your area, Salisbury Plain. You know what there is in Salisbury Plain? The Ministry of Defence. A lot of secret Porton Downs down that way. A lot of secret research goes on in that area. So is there a connection there? Possibly. Are they experimenting with some sort of plasma type craft, or I don't know, it's just an idea. It just seemed you always got to look at the location of where these things appear. And I mean, I like with Rendlesham Forest, what we found in Rendlesham, there was secret military research either side of it, Martlesham Heath and then Alford Nest. There were top secret research projects going on. I think the same with crop circles in Wiltshire, possibly. But another interesting thing about crop circles, I spoke to someone called Dr. Simeon Hine. It's well worth checking out his work. And he's done a lot of research into crop circles. And he says, right, this is the weird part, even in the ones that are definitely faked, and he knows the people that made them, and he's been there with them while they made them, there's still weird phenomena happens in those circles. Yeah. People's equipment malfunctions, electronics go a bit weird, and people feel weird in these. And he says it's something to do with the vortexes and something to do with that. Maybe it's tapping into the simulation we live in or something like that.
Oh, wow.
Some weird mathematical thing going on, even in the fake ones. Dr. Simeon Hine, it's well worth checking out his research.
That's interesting.
It is interesting, yeah. And also what he found is that some of the people that actually made them felt compelled to make them, felt drawn there, almost that they were being manipulated by an outside energy or force. That's even weirder than it actually being aliens, I think. And then also John Hanson, the CID detective, who's written about Wiltshire quite a lot. A lot of people who've been in crop circles and had weird experiences then go home and have poltergeist, ghostly encounters in their own houses. How do you explain that? They're taking this energy, whatever it is, back home with them.
Yeah.
Like it's following them. That is weird as well. I can't explain that. Can anyone out there explain it? Let me get in touch with Close Encounters TV. Let us know your thoughts about crop circles.
That is really odd.
It is. But
I was just interested. So the one that I went to, there was a kind of like a deep sort of like a pagan thing going on where like people entering it, like women would tend to go left the way around it, and blokes. So there's like a kind of fertility, like ritualistic strangeness to it all.
Do they have clothes on, or?
Well, I think there was a group that actually did a naked fertility ritual, and that's what happened.
Must get a bit itchy though, all that wheat chaffing at your parts. I wouldn't fancy it. Naked crop circles, you heard it here first on Close Encounters TV. Sorry.
But yeah, I found that interesting.
Yeah.
A little bit. But some of the shapes as well, so that there's been a jester shape, which...
That's obviously a fake, isn't it? It's got to be.
And a spider as well, and I just think like, the more kind of... Oh, we've been banned again.
Okay. Let's have a look. We've been censored. Okay. Alcohol, tobacco and drugs.
Oh, not again.
At least
It's Guinness Zero.
it's too late now. We didn't mention alcohol once, did we?
No.
No, we didn't. So we might as well just keep
Oh,
mentioning it now.
fertility rituals we talked about.
You can't mention fertility rituals. Can you say tits? No. Can you say cock? We're just testing the limits of what we can say. Excuse us. This is a serious discussion about crop circles. So yeah, fertility, chafing, and they did like. So
Yeah.
but yeah, the pagan element. But people think crop circles are a recent phenomena. But did you know the first ever crop circle? I found the location. It's in Hertfordshire.
Really?
Yes. And I've been there. It's amazing. So the first ever crop circle was called the Mowing Devil. And there's a wood cutting of it. But that's how they described it. It was like a devil mowing in the grass.
Oh, okay. So
Which could be orbs of light, if you think about it, because that's how the terminology they used was a devil. And people used to think that, demons, UFOs. So it's just different terminology for the same thing. So we've got devils creating crop circles in Hertfordshire.
It's interesting.
Yeah,
And that
it's
was
interesting.
pre
That's the
UFO
1600s,
mythology.
1600s
Wow.
before flying machines. And I've just been researching because people think, the Tic Tac UFO everyone knows about, that's Lockheed Martin, it's our technology. I don't think so, because there's been sightings of Tic Tac-like UFOs dating back to the 16th century. In Nuremberg, there was the famous battle in the skies, and there was Tic Tac UFOs there, the same cylindrical type UFOs. So I don't think it is our technology. I think some of it is ours, definitely. But what is creating crop circles? Close Encounters TV. Get in touch if you know what's creating crop circles. Okay, let's go and listen to Luke, interstellar discussion about his research this year.
Right, so we're inside the circle, and upon first entry, I can say that it does feel a little bit funky. Whether that be goosebumps on the arm, I kind of feel like I've got butterflies in the stomach, but it is a beautiful location, and I'm not entirely sure whether that's to do with where we're at, because it's so wonderful, or there's something more going on here. But upon first look, mate, like, these things are woven. The places, or the areas that are, this is the main pathway that people have walked on, but looking at the overall sections of the inner knot, the outer knot, definitely being placed in such a way, there's no broken stems, okay, everything's just kind of been laid down, in sections where people have walked on. You can see where it's kind of like popped, because you can see where the footprints are. But on overall analysis, just on like eye level, it's pretty impressive. Wow, look at this section here, look. The way it's just laid, look, it's like braided. That's so cool. There's an eagle up there. Bless. Look at him go. Right, I'm just about to observe and take a section of this to look at closely. Again, it's just a very small sample. Been given permission. There's a few bottle caps in here, which is quite funny. But we're going to just take a section to observe and look closer at. And again, all of these sections here, nothing's snapped. It's just pushed and placed. So if I can point here. So we've got a piece of the inside segment here. Cover that all back over so it's protected and covered. Right. First observation. Apart from digging it out, there's no breaking or snapping in the base section there, you see? It's been perfectly laid down and it looks very happy, this segment of the crop. Look at that. No sign of browning or stress. Very green and beautiful. It almost looks like it's thriving still. Incredible. These sections here look a bit more bulbous at the bases. They look swollen. compared to some of the grain that's still standing, and I'll compare with that in just a moment for you. But look at it, beautiful. Look at this section here, how it's just kind of whooshed in again, done. There's a few areas that are kind of spiked up a little bit, but it's just phenomenal. There's nothing here that's snapped or suggesting anything else. Look at it, look at that, the formation. Oh, again, look at this section of the knotted area, look, oh my word. Absolutely incredible. It's just laid and woven. It's quite astonishing. First observations, the site itself, looking at the inside sections and the outer sections, no signs of stress, breakages. It seems quite happy. All the laid down crops are still very green. They don't seem aggravated, other than the sections where people have walked on. But other than that, they seem quite happy and healthy. The ground smells quite coppery, iron almost, but whether that's to do with what's in the soil structure itself. I've been around wheat crops before, and it's something that I haven't noticed until now. And again, the environment, birds such as crows, there's a few jackdaws flying around, there was a couple of herons, and there was woodpeckers as well. They seem to just be flying around the air, cawing and kind of making a bit of a racket. And no birds as of the moment, you can see them flying around, they're not flying into the centre of the crop circle itself. They're kind of being on the outside, they're not exactly coming in. But like I mentioned before, there is a drone flying around, but walking up here probably about half a mile the whole way, the birds seem to be quite aggravated for whatever reason. So I don't know, a section of it to kind of take note of. So we've got EMF detection now, and we're going to go in and around and just see. There, which is the outer ring. Look at that. Let's see what happens. 0.11 at the moment, so it's jumped up to 17, 14. Right, I'm going to give you just a little brief rundown on the measurements I've taken of the crop circle itself, inside, on the outside circumference, and some of the main points inside as well. So, on the outside sections, so the circle all the way around from the top, bottom, left and right sides, they measure at 2.2 metres perfectly all the way around. All the way around, it's 2.2 metres on the outside edge, right? And this doesn't fluctuate or differ, it's the exact measurement the whole way around. And on the inside sections where the knots are, on each corner, from the corner to the outside edge, corner to the outside edge, they measure from 1.2 to 1.3. So, in all, the measurements are only about 10 centimetres out, which is absolutely incredible accuracy for the size itself. The overall circle structure is about 75 metres in total in its circumference. It is huge. Now, on the Geiger counter readings, okay, I couldn't film the screen because for some reason it kind of bugged out on my camera, but I took some notes nonetheless, so take this as you will. So on the outside of the crop circle, we were reading on the Geiger counter, on the away from the crop circle, about 0.11, okay? 0.7, 0.11. Now, in the top section of the crop circle itself, specifically in these intersections here, it was reading 0.21. It spiked all along here, 0.21 significantly. Down the bottom, at this bottom section, it spiked to 0.31, okay, 0.32 on this bottom section here, so a little bit more intense. In the top sections where the points are, 0.27 average on the scale, and then we have a 0.28 average in the middle. Well, on the bottom section, sorry, here. And in the centre, I haven't noted it here, but it was about a 0.38 to a 0.40, okay, on what we were recording. So, very interesting. It spiked. Something to take note of. Right, Julius, would you like to introduce yourself and who you are and you own this land?
So I'm a farmer that farms here, and we farm on the edge of Somerset and around here, which we've been farming for about 350 years. And before that we farmed in Dorset. So we've always been farmers. And yeah, it's a beautiful part of the world. We're very lucky on a nice day.
Gorgeous crop as well. Look at that.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's one of our better crops.
Yeah.
It's been a very difficult growing season this year with the wet winter and the very dry spring. And we were quite upset when we came out here to see the crop had been flattened, however it had happened. What a phenomenon, really.
Yeah, yeah. When did you first notice this crop circle?
We got a racing yard at the bottom here,
Yeah.
and the horses were coming up the gallops, which was just right by.
Yeah.
You'd be able to see, and that was about 6 o'clock in the morning. They informed us that a crop circle had appeared overnight. We had people up in the woods watering trees that we planted. They finished about 9:30, 10:15. Gamekeeper was walking his dogs at 10:30, so it was between the hours of 10:30 and 6 o'clock.
It's quite significant. Have you seen anything unusual in the area? Lights, military craft, objects, anything of that nature?
I've seen a lot of I've seen lights, seen some bright lights.
Is that recently?
Yeah, but we also have the Salisbury Plains about 3 miles that way.
Yeah.
So there's always a bit of activity over there. But we thought it was to do with that, but it could have been, it was quite close, and it might have been something else.
Yeah, 100%.
And as my house is out of sight, I can't say for sure what it was.
Yeah, and the historical significance of this place, we talked very briefly about your Bronze Age settlements in line with the churches over to the left side over there. Would you like to go into that just briefly?
So we have a Bronze Age settlement, a field up on top, a field over. Then there's a burial stone, and then we have, in a parallel line, we have the crop circle, and then all in line with the church, as you can see.
In the different distance, yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Have you noticed any unusual behaviour with any sort of birds, your animals at all, livestock,
I've noticed my cows have been staring a lot this way up on the hill there. I noticed that yesterday. Today they seem a bit more settled. Now, I don't know why that is. They're used to people, so it won't be people. I don't really know what that is or what it was.
Have you experienced anything like this ever before? Is this your first time having something so close to home?
I've never experienced anything like this before.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have no crop circles here. As a matter of fact, I haven't seen crop circles in Wiltshire for a year or two. They used to be quite often every summer, but we haven't seen them.
Wow. And just last off, how has this affected you with the amount of people coming in here, your crops being damaged itself, and kind of the stress it could be putting onto your area?
We had to charge because this is malting barley. It's a high cost crop.
Yeah.
And it hasn't been a particularly easy season, and the market's not particularly good. And we also want to get it under control so we can manage it rather than people just walking from all directions.
Yeah.
Because it upsets the staff and upsets the cattle.
Yeah.
So we need to keep it controlled.
Yeah.
And the cost of the damage. We're trying to recoup a little bit of that back in.
It's 75 metre circumference, and I just last off to say is if you're coming here, please be respectful of the landowners, the people that work around near the animals as well. Please talk to Julius directly if you want to come here. They are open. And what time do you guys close and open at usually?
Normally 8 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock at night.
6 o'clock at night, yeah. So, yeah, again, as long as you respect the area and you inform Julius and his wife what's going on, just be mindful of other people working here because it is a working farm, and just, keep it as that. And thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
I appreciate
Thank you
it.
for coming
You're
over.
a legend. Appreciate it. Thank you, Julius.
He was great at the UFO display session, really enthused and interesting.
I mean, this is the thing about people talk about disclosure. Will we get it? And I'm starting to think more and more we're not going to get it through official government channels. They're just going to play the waiting game, fob us off, and drip feed stuff. The way we're going to get it is through social media channels. And there's a lot of great researchers out there. Like we said, Luke Yorkshire, Interstellar Discussion. There's Matt from UFOs Around the World. There's UFO Shiv. There's all these great researchers out there finding content, getting contacted by whistleblowers, witnesses, putting contact direct to the public. We're bypassing the gatekeepers to this knowledge, and we're not charging money for it. Because what I hate with some UFO gurus, especially in the United States, is that they're creating their own cult of followers, and they're charging them money to have access to this information. No! And they're releasing it at a time that's most beneficial for them, as opposed to most beneficial for the public.
Oh, okay.
You see what I mean? So they're trying to monetize it and make money out of it. And everyone's entitled to make a living, including ourselves. We don't make any money off this, but, you know, don't begrudge people that, buying their books, watching their films. But when you start charging people to go on a cruise to manifest UFOs, maybe we could do that with crop circles. Come on out, crop circle, we'll manifest a crop circle and orbs. Pay us thousands of pounds. Don't buy us alcohol.
Just Guinness Zero.
Yeah. So we could do that, I reckon. What time are we up to?
14 minutes.
Okay. Sorry, carry on.
So I was just thinking about why Wiltshire, and you know, you've got Stonehenge, you've got Avebury, so maybe there's a kind of deeper kind of like I don't know, ley lines, power.
Yeah, absolutely. And Luke goes into that quite a bit. So definitely something. And ancient alien theorists speculate that, you know, aliens and UFOs were tapping into this energy, this Earth grid, if you will. And that is possible. We talk about universal consciousness. Maybe this is the same universal ether energy that Nikola Tesla wanted to use to create his worldwide grid of electricity that people could tap into, possibly.
And maybe the military bases followed that energy rather than...
Sure, good point.
Just a thought.
And I just wanted to talk about this. I talked about Colin Andrews earlier, great crop circle UFO researcher who's written many books on it, including one called Circular Evidence. He's given me this letter. Okay, I'll put it online. It's basically from Prince Philip to Prince Charles, now King Charles at the time. And I'll read it to you. He goes, thought you might be interested to see this. Circular Evidence, this is the book. Okay, thought you might like to see this. If it is a hoax, that's crop circles, it is elaborate in the extreme, and I am inclined to believe it is due to some kind of invisible force. Wow. He then said he'd never been able to entirely dismiss the Uri Geller phenomenon. And could the two have anything in common? That's like, wow, that's what Prince Philip told our king, King Charles, in a letter about crop circles. He thinks they were formed by some invisible force. And he can't dismiss the Uri Geller psychic phenomena. And I know Uri Geller is a bit of a controversial figure, but we've spoken to him, and we like him. He's a great guy, and I think he's got something. I'm not entirely convinced with all the spoon bending, but he has bent spoons for me and my kids live. And it's like, hey, happy birthday, kids! Here's a spoon being bent. But he was tested by the CIA for psychic powers, and you know, they found he had, you know, above average psychic ability. So, you know, he's got something, and which is interesting. But it's interesting that Prince Philip thought the crop circles were formed by an invisible force, UFOs, aliens, plasma. Don't know, something formed them.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just Doug and Dave with their planks of wood.
I do think as well, you know, like the amount of planning it takes to, I don't know, and you need that some of those crop circles, I think you need that aerial view to like properly.
Yeah. But take it one step further, the technology now, maybe it's really sophisticated drones that are making them
Yeah, that is true.
with laser or plasma devices. Sharks with laser beams attached to their heads. Sorry, I've gone into Austin Powers mode. This is actually more like Wayne's World. We're in a garage.
It is actually. Isn't it?
Wayne's World. Oh no, I can't say that. We get to pay copyright for the song.
Don't sing it.
No, don't sing it.
I really want to sing it.
Veto. Yeah, so thank you everyone who's watching Close Encounters TV. Keep watching, the truth is out there, and we'll bring it to you live from a garage. But we're not finished just yet. I want to talk a little bit more about just this strange phenomena, and maybe the UK, England, Scotland, Wales, Ireland, part of the Republic of Ireland. Maybe there's something special about this land, because we go back, we got the myths of the fairy folk, and there's a lot of connections between people who claim to have experiences with fairies and people who've been abducted by aliens. There's quite a lot of similarities. So is it the same phenomena, but we're seeing it in a different light in the technological age as opposed to the medieval folk age? It is interesting.
It really is. Yeah.
So maybe that's why the UK, we will get to disclosure first, because we've got that in our history, in our mythology.
Yeah. What's happened with US disclosure? Has that kind of slowed down?
There's things going on all the time. I think President Trump, if he's still president, well, this is released. I think he wants to be the UFO president.
Yeah.
The king, he wants to be the king of UFOs. He wants to be have the best and the biggest UFO disclosure in the world. Ours is the best and the biggest. I think the British will do it better though, Donald, and with more style and panache. That's my impression. I don't think Keir Starmer would do it, but maybe someone else.
No, Keir Starmer's not like a...
But you have I did a post about this and got into a lot of stick, because the likelihood, right, our next Prime Minister is not going to be Keir Starmer, it's going to be Nigel Farage. So is he going to be the king of UFOs? There's a good possibility that Nigel Farage will be heading UK UFO disclosure. Let me know your thoughts on that, people. I've actually reached out, but through pragmatic purposes, because I want disclosure at the end of the day, and we've got to open those links. The pursuit of the truth is far greater than personal politics.
There is, but also I'm going to have to be impartial about Nigel Farage. Exactly. I'm saying.
Okay.
I'm saying nothing about him, but
Yeah. Controversial figure.
I'm not keen on Trump, but some of the plus sides are that he was open to letting whistleblowers tell their story. So we need something similar in the UK. It's still ridiculed a little bit, I think.
Yeah, that's the issue we've got, is the stigma attached to it. That people won't come forward. I know I had a couple of whistleblowers come forward, but we're trying to get them on camera. But we need to provide protection for them so they feel secure enough to come forward and tell their story, because we've got pilots out there that are witnessing craft in the sky unknown, whether it's secret technology, adversarial drones, or something else. That's the question. But if we're going to push the government and the political establishment for these answers, we're going to have to take a pragmatic approach and take it from a defense angle as opposed to woo-woo aliens, Anunnaki, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But like I said before, I don't think maybe that's not the way to go. Maybe it's direct through social media, through people power, through great researchers, putting the evidence straight out to people.
And genuine people that have had genuine experiences.
Yeah, and people not afraid to go there, and not fear of ridicule. So, I mean, crop circles is part of that, discussion because they are unexplained phenomena that can't easily be. I don't know. I kind of lost my track now. There's some strange noises outside. Are we getting visited?
Yeah, I heard something odd.
Okay, we've got a visit. We've already been censored by social media, and now we're getting taken out by the deep state.
Well, not the Men in Black again.
What are we up to?
23 minutes.
Okay. Okay, false alarm.
It's probably me, to be honest.
Okay, we're still here. We survived. But I just want to say that you've got to be careful with this. Digressing slightly from crop circles, going on to UFOs again, and the Calvin photograph, the famous diamond-shaped photo taken in Scotland by two Scotsmen out for a walk. This photo was then basically sent to the MOD, covered up for ages, finally been released. Nick Pope had a photocopy on his wall, apparently. James Fox, recent film, The Programmes, well worth watching. He interviews the colleague of these two guys that took the photo, and he says they were visited by real-life Men in Black and basically scared off. And no one's seen these two people since.
Really?
Yeah, they've disappeared. I'm not saying, I'm not saying they've been killed or anything, but they've disappeared basically. Wow. So that's really, really scary. So, are we dealing with something that they would use ultimate sanction for?
Yeah.
Possibly. And going back to Rendlesham, I know that people have been shut down there for talking about it. And Margaret Thatcher famously told Georgina Bruni about Rendlesham. She said, it wasn't UFOs, and you can't tell the people because it's so dark.
They won't be able to handle the truth.
I know, if they're messing around with new technologies that can damage people and they're testing it out on people, then they're not going to go public with it. Because we know, you're near Porton Down. Okay, people say, oh, they're not doing anything there. Of course they are. If the Russians are doing it, the Chinese are doing it, we're going to be doing it. If your enemy's experimenting with animals and chemical warfare, biological warfare, we're going to get taken off air, then we're going to be doing it, because that's just the way of the world, unfortunately.
Even if it's
evil begets evil, and that's a simple matter. I don't agree with any of that, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be happening. That's a pragmatic, realistic approach. Governments do lie to people all the time. They may say it's for a good purpose. We may disagree. That's a reality, and there's so many incidences throughout history, false flag operations and all sorts.
Yeah.
The CIA, American government, testing on, especially the black population in America, absolutely hideous things. It's happened. But we need to end on a positive note again. The world is not coming to an end. Maybe it will on October the 29th. We're going to party like it's October the 29th. 3i Atlas is either going to destroy the world or it's going to just fizzle out. And we'll still have a party anyway.
And, we might be the chosen ones anyway. That are...
Yeah. We could be ascending to the heavens.
Yeah.
And making crop circles up there.
Oh, a life of pure Guinness.
We can mention... Oh, more product placement. Cheers. Thank you for watching Close Encounters TV. We'll be back very soon with another episode. I don't know what to talk about next. Let me know.